Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I will be discussing the American science fiction action film Monsters of Man. Spoiler ahead. Watch out and take care. A young girl, injured and full of fear, flees through a thick jungle and is seized by a robot. The robotic entity places its weighty leg on the ground in front of the distressed victim and awaits further instructions. Several days prior, a team of programmers makes their way to Cambodia, where they are greeted by a reticent bowler. Without providing any explanation, the hired soldier leads the group to their destination. In a remote village nestled amidst the dense jungle, Mason, a former Marine, is repairing a hut belonging to a local girl named Kayala. Meanwhile, a truck carrying medical students hits concealed spikes on the road nearby, forcing them to abandon their vehicle and trek on foot to seek refuge in a nearby village before nightfall. Bowler, the hired mercenary, instructs the scientists to set up a station in the jungle without divulging any details. As the group moves ahead, they are confronted by a group of children wielding fake wooden assault rifles, prompting the medics to hasten their search for a settlement. Meanwhile, back at the apartment, Jantz establishes contact with the CIA and the team devises a plan to deploy robots to take down the criminal network operating in the jungle. As the robots are launched, one of them experiences a malfunction and its parachute fails to open. Kroger manages to establish communication with 3 of the 4 robots despite the malfunction of the 4th one. However, Bowler assures Major Kroger that the operation will proceed as planned, as the 3 functioning robots will eliminate their damaged counterpart once the mission is completed. Jantz explains that the damaged module is responsible for controlling the robot, meaning that the machine can still function without it, but the programmers won't be able to control it remotely. The technicians put the remaining robots to the test by providing them with coordinates to a common location, and the machines move successfully. Meanwhile, the medical students reach the village, but their presence is not well received by the locals. Kayala is the only one who comes forward to communicate with them, but she struggles to understand the travelers, and Mason has to act as an interpreter. With the successful completion of the test, Bowler relays the information to the CIA, and the team receives the order to load the primary task onto the robots, which will be carried out by the mechanical soldiers. Despite the bandits' warning, Kayala agrees to let the medical students spend the night at her house. As the robots begin to operate, the programmers discover that they have been kept in the dark about crucial information. In the meantime, the boys discover a massive parachute hidden behind some rocks, from which strange sounds are coming out. Upon inspection, they reveal a huge Iron Man, which detects a communication module in one of the boys' hands. As the students prepare to leave the village and return to their truck, the robots unexpectedly start firing indiscriminately, targeting both gangsters and civilians alike. 3 of the Iron Soldiers enter the village, destroying everything in their path and getting rid of everyone. The programmers realize they have been deceived into launching robots that are indiscriminate in their killings, targeting innocent people alongside their intended targets. As tensions rise, Bowler takes charge and urges everyone to focus on their tasks. He emphasizes the need to eliminate all witnesses in the village. Mason and the gangster plan to rescue the group of students and Kayala's son from the cabin, but the bandit suddenly changes his mind and decides to leave alone. After taking shelter, the Navy SEAL returns to the area where the robots are operating, and one of the robots detects his presence through its camera. The Major is puzzled as to how an American military person could be in the remote jungle. The commander orders Bowler to halt the robot attack for a moment to investigate the situation, and they see a group of American citizens on the screen. Despite Bowler's regret, they have no choice but to eliminate anyone who may disclose too much information. Meanwhile, another robot without a communication module arrives in the village and scans pictures of the boy from the tablet belonging to the students. One of the students flees from the rogue robot, but it catches up and attacks her. Despite the absence of any commands from the programmers, the robot goes out of control and kills the girl. The team takes refuge in a cave for the night, but one of the students wanders off and gets hurt. Although he tries to hide, the out-of-control robot finds him and lets out a terrifying scream. Meanwhile, a 4th robot breaches the control room and starts downloading files without authorization. Despite Bowler's orders to stop it, the rogue robot is beyond control. The CIA orders the destruction of the malfunctioning robot with a self-destruct code, but it refuses to comply. Bowler panics and disconnects all the wires from the computers. Eventually, the programmers decide to write a new program that enables the other 3 robots to destroy the rogue one. Upon hearing human voices, the robots return to their camp to finish their task. However, the boy believes that the robots are after him and decides to confront one of them by showing the module and offering to take it away in exchange for leaving the settlement alone. Unfortunately, the module does not stop the cyborg from attacking. Mason tries to distract the robot and lead it away from the group by attacking it and setting booby traps along the way. Meanwhile, Bowler orders the programmers to activate the self-destruct mode, but Mason notices a red light at the last minute and manages to escape before the explosion. Despite Kroger's assurance that no one could have survived the explosion, Bowler suspects otherwise and demands proof. His suspicion turns out to be correct when Mason wakes up from being buried underground. Upon returning to his friends, Mason discovers that Kayala has suffered a severe injury, and despite the efforts of young doctors to save her, it proves to be too much for her to survive. The boy's father, who was the leader of the bandits, is discovered nearby without any signs of life. The boy is devastated and tells Mason about the detail he found in the woods. Bowler reports the situation to the major and requests drone support to clear the area. The first and second robots find the fourth robot and attempt to destroy it under orders from the commanding officer, but the clever machine evades their attacks. The programmers are surprised by how quickly the cyborg has developed new skills. Bowler suggests sacrificing one of the controlled bots to take down the rebel along with himself, but the order is reversed by higher management. The fourth robot reconnects to the shared server and sends a message of gratitude to the technicians before downloading the system for itself. The robot becomes so intelligent that it separates the module from its mate and upgrades itself. Kroger proposes a solution to the problem by using spare modules with a combat program he developed to upgrade the damaged third robot, which could defeat the rebellious robot and put an end to the problem. Meanwhile, Anne manages to contact her friend in America. Bowler becomes aware of Anne's attempt to reach out to someone for help, causing her to flee in fear for her life. Unfortunately, Anne is wounded and unable to escape, and Bowler brutally massacres her. Afterward, Bowler contacts someone in the States and orders them to cover up his tracks, which is quickly done by a hitman. Bowler informs the programmers that his girlfriend has betrayed them, and they must relocate. Mason realizes that the group is in too much danger to travel on foot, so he helps them climb up the liana to safety on the rocks. He constructs a special hoist to lift Kayala, who is in critical condition. Despite their efforts, Kayala's condition worsens. As the team prepares to leave, Jordan is left behind and is discovered by the robot before he can climb up to safety. As Jordan desperately tries to climb up to safety, he is faced with the looming threat of the robot. In a moment of desperation, he contemplates using his gun to defend himself. However, before he can pull the trigger, his girlfriend's scream distracts the bot, allowing him to climb up to safety with the rest of the team. Despite Jordan's efforts, the robot continues to pursue them, but the group manages to slow it down by throwing rocks at it, giving the group some time to escape. Bowler takes the programmers to a new location, but he doesn't want them to leave. To ensure their loyalty, he shows them pictures of their loved ones, hinting at the consequences they will face if they betray him. Bowler successfully installs the new communication module on the damaged robot, which promptly activates and runs off into the jungle. The group takes a break, and Marine ventures out further to scout their next move. Suddenly, they hear footsteps, and an elderly blind man emerges from the darkness of the cave. Marine moves the group to a more secure location and decides to rest and regain his energy for their next move. At night, Mason confesses to Kayala about his mistakes which caused the deaths of their team. Kayala, sensing her impending death, asks Mason to take care of her son who now has no family. The next morning, Kayala passes away, but the team is unable to grieve as they are confronted by a robot in the cave. While the girls stay with Kayala's body, the men attempt to distract the robot and lure it away. When the robot discovers the team, Mason runs to the cave's exit hoping to lead the robot away, and he succeeds in trapping it between the rocks. However, the team must still find a way to pass the robot, which is still active and moving, despite being stuck. Jordan, unable to contain his frustration, shoots at the robot and questions the Marine about its origin. The SEAL deduces that the military has sent the robot to eliminate them as witnesses. After navigating through a difficult maze, the company finally emerges. The programmers communicate with their superiors and are promised a generous reward for successfully completing their mission. However, Jag secretly writes a note to his friend, indicating that they will not survive. Sadly, Kayala passes away in the arms of Mason, but not before urging him to stay with the boy. The entire group grieves the loss of Kayala, who had previously saved their lives on multiple occasions. They leave her body behind at a ruined Buddhist monastery. While near the ruins, the team is discovered by a robot that had also managed to escape from a stone trap. Mason directs the boy and his peers towards the exit, instructing Jordan to stay behind and appeal the robot away from them. However, the boy is unable to locate an escape route, and the group is forced to conceal themselves while the Marine searches for a way to neutralize the robot. Eventually, they discover a way out and depart the area. A few minutes later, the men pursue them, confident that they have evaded any danger. Meanwhile, Bowler remains in the jungle, pursuing the third, in the hopes of eliminating any unnecessary witnesses or rebellious comrades. Kroger contacts the mercenary and tells him that all three robots are very close to them. Mason attempts to determine how the robots are tracking them and theorizes that the part the boy carries in his backpack contains a beacon. The Marine separates from the group and discards the module, hoping it will help them escape the robot's pursuit. However, this tactic proves ineffective as the technicians activate a program allowing the bot to track them by their footsteps. The robot catches up with the company in an open area and begins eliminating witnesses. Mason manages to save one of his comrades, but the robot captures him, seemingly sealing his fate. Yet, the situation takes a surprising turn as Mason's comrade launches an attack on the robot, leading to a fierce battle between the cyborgs. Meanwhile, a conflict erupts between the technicians, with Kroger insisting that they see their mission through to ensure that none of their loved ones are harmed. After defeating the robot, the cyborg approaches Mason and inquires about his name using a human voice. Meanwhile, the Major observes the scene, but the programmers must disable the cyborg to prevent the rebel from downloading the entire system into himself. Another member of the group is killed during a botched mission, leaving the girls beside his lifeless body, powerless to help him. The cyborg questions the Marine about his mission, attempting to understand why he prioritizes the boy's life over his own. The robot also ponders whether it could possess sentience, but its philosophical ponderings are abruptly interrupted by the fourth surviving cyborg, triggering a new power struggle. As the cyborgs are preoccupied with each other, Mason urges his companions to leave, but they are unexpectedly confronted by Bowler, who appears behind them. During the altercation, Jordan is injured, and the Marine instructs him to escape and save their companions while he confronts Bowler. Despite Bowler aiming his weapon at him, the Marine convinces him to engage in a fair fight. A bot intervenes and saves Mason by taking down the mercenary. Eventually, the entire group converges in one location, prompting the CIA major to order the programmers to detonate the cyborgs and put an end to the chaos. However, Kroger is unable to comply due to software restrictions. The fourth cyborg takes matters into his own hands and activates the self-destruct sequence, giving Mason enough time to hide his friends before the explosion. Bowler attempted to disarm the bomb but failed as it still exploded after a few seconds. The CIA major was angry but determined to continue with the situation. The programmers discovered that the fourth cyborg had successfully downloaded data, but they couldn't investigate further because the major eliminated those who knew too much. The survivors left the jungle and grieved for their lost companions. Mason accepted that he had done everything he could for the boy. Thank you for watching our recap. If you enjoyed it, please hit the like button and feel free to explore our other recaps.